Okay, good morning and hope you're all having a great month. We've got a lot going on here, so I'm going to share my screen with you and we're going to get started. There we go. And then let me go down here. And I trust you can all see my screen okay. There we go. April 20th, I can't believe it. Okay, so we're on a good start actually on listings. Good start. I want to congratulate Linda Kroll and DeVern. Way to go, DeVern. Patty Illingworth, Heidi, Mark Wasserman's team, Josie, Lance, Gary, Debbie Bellman, she's got a few things going on. Mark Wasserman again and again, George Lopez, Tom Hurd, Donna Ambrose, Jesse Lerma, Mark's Real Estate Group, and Donna Ambrose. Congratulations to you. Listings are I can't even tell you how golden they are right now. And that needs to be our number one focus. So congratulations to you. Our goal is 32. Let's keep hitting it hard. Okay. On the escrow side, these are opened escrows. And if you don't think there's business out there, holy cow, take a peek at this. This is just halfway through the month, guys. So our goal is 39. I believe we're going to hit that goal. But congratulations to all of you, Mark Wasserman team, Angie Torres, George Lopez team, Doris and Loopy, Mark and George and Espy and Vicki Dawson, DeVern, good job, Mimi, Linda Kroll, Terry Kagan and Deborah Farrell, Doris and Loopy again, Debbie Bellman, way to go, Debbie. Josie, Nelson Horn, Ann Stark, Elena, Angie Torres, George Lopez and Jeff Mercer, Debbie Billman, SB, Angie, Ann Stark again, Linda and Angie. Lots of business. I mean, you guys are killing it. You are, you really are. So congratulations to you. I'm really proud of you. Okay, moving on here. Have you guys seen the IQ system yet? Have you logged in? Do you know about it? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Well, then I'm glad I'm bringing it to your attention. So the IQ system is a national system. You're going to stay on the VAC. What I'm showing you here is nothing that's going to change. It's going to enhance your business. And so I'm going to play a little blurb here for you, because I think if nothing else, you should all at least sign into it. So you're getting the benefits that go with it. So let me just log in here to the Resource Center. Oh, I forgot. I just changed my password. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is the IQ system. It is, again, part of our national brand. I'm going to play this little video here by Chris Stewart.
Welcome to the Real Estate IQ system, home of the industry's preeminent and exclusive real estate influencer network. We've established this system to address the most obvious missing link, which is that of helping real estate professionals to extend and deepen their real estate relevance and value. Together, the network is committed to building not only the world's most trusted real estate brand, but the consumer's first choice as the industry's most influential real estate brand. A few things to help you get started. At this level of the Real Estate IQ system, there are foundational business building concepts that have been strategically organized directly below this video. I strongly recommend that you take the time to complete each of the exercises and processes associated with each of the buttons below. Also, the navigation tiles just to the right of this video are the other main sections provided by the IQ system, and I encourage you to please make the time to explore each section and the vast array of tools, strategies, and programs which have been carefully curated by the network's top producing agents, teams, and leaders. And remember, as you explore the IQ system, you'll be constantly presented with 3 platforms that are each designed to drive interaction and collaboration. The first is Instant Inspiration, which is a live and dynamic trending ranker of the system's most visited and most popular strategies and programs. At any time, simply click on any of the programs listed in this section to be taken immediately to the execution plan for that particular item. Also, join the chat is a carefully curated list of links that will put you immediately into a social networking group discussing the relevant topics associated with the group's title. By joining the chat, our hope is that you can gain additional insight and inspiration from your peers and also help add to the discussion and content which is being shared across the network. And finally, the strength of the IQ system and network is that you are at the very heart of every idea, strategy, and program being accessed and leveraged by the network. With Spark, should you have a new idea, perhaps a new section of content, or a specific business building program that's working for you, simply submit a quick description of that idea or program along with any related documentation and or video, and our content team will properly tag and organize your idea into its appropriate place within the IQ system to elevate your visibility and exposure to the global network. Have fun.
So that's the IQ stands for influencer quotient. And you guys might remember from convention, if you listen to Chris Stewart during convention, he and Ellen Dalton wrote a book. And if you haven't gotten it, you can get it on Amazon. It's a phenomenal book. It helps you think a little bit differently than everybody else. And I think that's really important. And so many agents, for example, our marketing materials say, when you're ready to list or to buy, call me, right? What this does, it takes you from that. It tells the consumer that they don't need a realtor until they're ready. That's the message it gives to the consumer. What this system says is, are you a real estate influencer? Are they coming to you for advice, whether or not they're going to buy or sell? Are you that go-to person when they think of real estate and what's going on, or I have a question? Are you top of mind? Are you the one they're going to address? Are you that professional? So are you an influencer in real estate? And that is the goal, because people like to be near the influencers, right? So that's what this is all about. And it's a lot of fun. If you look right here, my real estate IQ, it's a little test you can take. We're not going to do it now, but I just wanted to show you. You can just go in here and you're going to answer some questions and just click on next, next, next. And it's going to give you a score. And that score is going to show you if you're a real estate influencer, if you're getting close, if you need some work, or if you're just starting out. It really just, it tells you, and then it tells you, here's where you need to start focusing, right? So it's a really cool system. And what it's going to do is communicate better with the consumer so that they think of you no matter what. Let me get out of here for a second and go back. To get started, obviously, you're just going to click on this getting started. And I recommend that you just do that. If you don't do anything else, at least go to get started and get yourself registered, because there's some information here. The orientation, here's a PowerPoint that you can go through, and I'll just briefly go through it quickly. An orientation guide. Everything is geared to help you build a business, not just wait for something to happen, but to actually build a strategic business. So when you click here, you can see it covers a little bit. Here's your orientation guide that you can download and you can work with. And you just go in and you're filling out some specific goals. It's exclusive to Berkshire Hathaway. designed to significantly elevate the value and relevance of network professionals. The chat that he's talking about is great because literally you can reach out to any Berkshire agent in our entire network about anything, about listings, about, you know, what's going on in the market. It's about putting yourself out there saying, hey, I live in a great resort destination in the Palm Springs area. If you have somebody coming out here, have them call me. It's a networking tool for you with other agents. And it's, you know, a system that grows and develops. That spark that he was talking about, if you have a system that you're using that's great, or maybe you are playing with this and you think, hey, there's a glitch here, right? It's technology, there's glitches in everything. So if you find something, you just go into the Spark right below that where the video was, I showed it to you, and you fill out the form and send it in. And I gotta tell you, I've never been with a company who is so more focused on helping the agents and helping the systems for the agents than Berkshire Hathaway. It's absolutely phenomenal. The IQ system and influencer network, it's not a training program, okay? It's not a training program, but you're gonna learn a lot. It's not a system of one best practice, it's a lot. It's many, best and next. It's not linear. You go where you need to grow, and you are a contributor. You inspire others with your next practices. So 3 fundamental problems to be solved is the real estate loyalty gap, and Chris touched upon that at convention, why so many people say they would use their agent again, but a very small percentage actually does, because there's a disconnect. The agents do not stay in touch. The agents close out, they move on, and in their minds, they're telling themselves, well, they don't want to hear from me, they just closed an escrow. Where in reality, the consumer's saying, wow, we closed escrow and I never heard from them again, and I feel kind of used. And I've literally had consumers tell me that they felt that way about their agent. So that's what we need to close. We need to keep that loyalty. These people become our friends. They become somebody, you know, that we're important to them and they're important to us. So we should not take that business relationship lightly. Advice avoidance and transactional flatline. So those are 3 things that it's that this thing will focus on. We just saw the video, and I'm just going to scroll down here so you can see, you know, the IQ system, the different things you can click on, the community, my real estate ecosystem, marketing and communications, etc. And if you want to sign up for any, there's so many cool workshops coming into place here. That's just what you'll see. This is the score. When you get your IQ score, you'll see if you're not there, if you're getting there, or if you are there, you're an influencer. It kind of is cool. Anyway, so now you can actually click in here, see this. See the campsite where all the workshops are going to be. And so, you know, it's a really good opportunity for you. So let's get back here. Let me close this one. Oops. Okay, I'm done. Okay, I'm done now. And before I forget, I have this up as my reminder for you. If you've missed any of our meetings, or if you, I know, because I know I record them and then I email out the recording. And some of you have a Gina file folder that everything just goes in, so you can go back, and some of you may not have. I have a YouTube channel, and all our office recordings go right to our YouTube channel. So if you go to my Gina Martlero Tedlin Managing Broker station, looks like this, you can see all of our past meetings and what they're about. So right here, I know many people have been asking me about the escalation clauses. Here it is in the meeting right here. Discussed escalation clauses, SELMs, etc. You'll be able to see, you know, our Maria Hill, little Wednesday wisdom, office meeting. Here's the 1031 exchange last week if you missed it. So if you've missed any of our meetings, feel free to go in. Rick Barubi's there, and I'll just keep uploading our meetings. So you always can feel free to do that. One other thing I did want to point out to you, let me move that out of the way. There we go. Get out of there. Is make sure you're checking your emails. And when I say that, I'm including your spam folders, because sometimes some of the emails from marketing may go into spam, depending on what that email is. I want to make sure that at least 3 times a day. Now, please, the last thing I want is an agent sitting in front of their email all day. I think it's the biggest waste of time in the world. So you've got to time block it. Morning, maybe around noon, and maybe before you go home. And I'm saying maybe 10 minutes. Answer the important ones, delete the junk. It's just there to distract you. You don't need to put time and effort into that. But I want you to make sure that you're checking and double checking. One of the emails that went out, and I heard a few people say they never saw the one that came in from our computer department, was about these spam texts that are going out. And, I think last week somebody posed as Mark Stark asking for help getting these gift cards. I promise you, Mark is never going to ask you for help getting gift cards. That's not going to happen. He's got people. He's got people for that. Yesterday, I understand many agents got a text from who posed as Abraham, our agent. He did not send out this text. So if you get any of these weird phishing texts, please just delete them, or you can report them. The email I sent you gave a fraud link where you can click on the link and do your report for so that they can go after these people. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we will go on here. And I want to talk about the market a little bit. So, how's the market, guys?
Crazy.
How's the market? Well, our new record median price here in California is now at $758,000. That's crazy, right? The time on the market is averaging 8 days. The sale to list price ratio, this is another record high, is at 102%. Last week we talked about, we can use this statistic from the MLS to show how when we set prices on properties, we're pretty accurate, right? And we're pretty close, somewhere 98%, normally 98, 99% to list price. And that's a really good statistic. A lot of other brokers have been at 93%, 92%. So what usually happens is they promise that they can get these high prices, and then they're beating up the seller for price reductions. And so you can see that on the report. Well, right now we're sitting at a sale to list price at 102. Keep your stats, know where you are. And we're going to talk about pricing in just a little bit, but I want you to feel comfortable with the market, because I got to tell you, you cannot walk outside with your name badge on and not have somebody say, oh my gosh, what's going on in the market? These homes, as soon as it hit the market, it went into escrow, it closed. I've got people telling me these homes that sold for, $300,000-400,000 are now going into escrow at over $1 million, right? And it's like, it's insanity out there right now, but it's where we are. So I want you to feel comfortable. We're going to be talking about the market for a few minutes here, because I think it's really important that we do. Now, if you look at the trends, and you'll see, I basically did the desert proper. I didn't do all outside surrounding areas, but, looking to Bermuda Dunes, Indian Wells, Rancho Mirage, Palm Desert, Cathedral City, Palm Springs. So just the desert floor here. And as we all know, it is a seller's market, right? This isn't anything that we don't know. What's really interesting is looking to see these pendings. It's just off the charts. So I really like to share these stats, because I want you to really kind of take that visual to heart and understand it. So when somebody says, what's going on, you are able to just talk about it. You're also able to go onto the MLS and print this out and have some with you. So when someone says, what's going on in the market? Well, here, let me give you, I've got a market update. Let me just give it to you and you can see what's going on. So you can share this information with the consumer. This is the, up here, average square price. That again. Average square price is appreciating, which that's not a shock to us. And you can see what's going on right here. The days on market is, of course, lower. So you can see the downward trend then. And again, the sold original list price is rising, which we know. Right? And then see up here, the average price is appreciating, yes. The sold price is appreciating. The median price is appreciating. That's not a shock. And then we're looking here on days on market, and oh my God, look at the difference just from a couple years ago to right here. I mean, barely a month's supply of inventory, right? So literally it decreased by 84% days on market. So that's kind of a huge thing. And right now we're looking at 0.3 months of inventory. So, I mean, there's just nothing out there. So if you were a seller or a seller asked you, I don't know, I'm thinking about selling my house. I don't know whether to list it now or if I should list it like in the fall. You need to be ready with an intelligent answer, right? And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. This talks about the absorption rate. And just so you know, the absorption rate measures the inverse of the months of inventory and represents how much of the current active listings as a percentage are being absorbed each month. And so most of them are, you can just see it's huge numbers here. Okay, so next week, and this is something that, you know, we've been talking about and it's going to cover, instead of our office meeting, we're going to be doing Market Watch here at 8:30. Here's the link if you want to register on your own. It's like 35 bucks. But what they're covering is, will there be a surge in listings? We think so. Well, of course we do. That's what we've been talking about every single week. When, what cities, what homes, which owners, the seasonal factors, and how to prepare and participate. So this is going to be next Tuesday in lieu of our office meeting. You're welcome to come into the office. I'm going to be playing it here. Or if you choose to, you can register on your own and watch it wherever you are. Just know that there will not be a recording of this event. So if you miss it, you miss it. Okay? All right. So the main things I really want to talk about today, 2 points, because it's something that needs to be addressed. And it's, if you're working with buyers, what are you doing to get your buyer offer accepted? And listing agents, which I want 100% of our agents to have that mindset of being a listing agent for good reason. How are you counseling your sellers with respect to pricing? So, you know, let's start with buyer's agents. And show of hands, actually, let me stop sharing for just a second so we can do this interactively. Can I close that? There we go. Now I can see most of your faces. So if you can raise your hand, that's great. If otherwise, you can raise your little screen hand. Just remember to put it back down so I don't think you have a question. But how many of you have written an offer in the last week, or even 2, that involved multiple offers? Okay. So a few here, I can't see you on the screen if you're raising your hand. I know I'm looking at some of these names and I know you have. So a lion's share of us really have been in a situation. So again, how many have, if you don't have to raise your hand for this, what I want you to think about is, was my offer accepted? If the answer is no, then we need to think about, could it have been? Now there's going to be times where your buyer they're all in. There's only so much that they can do. Or they only can qualify for an FHA loan, right? And those are a little more strict than a conventional loan. So, so the question is, what does my offer have to look like? And there's options. I do recommend, and I think what I see a lot, not necessarily here, but just out. Agents are so excited to be writing an offer that they just want that offer done, accepted, and they want to get paid without thinking of what everything means that they're putting together. So what I really would like to see happen is you spend more time actually communicating with your client, talking to the buyer, because every detail in that offer is going to make a difference when they're presenting it to the seller. Starting at the top, I mean, think about it. Close of escrow, Mr. Buyer, how firm are you on close of escrow? Can you do 30 days? Can you do 15 days? Do you need 45? You know, whatever it is, have that conversation, right? Down payment, have that conversation too. The bigger the down payment, the stronger that offer is, because, you know, the buyer looks a little bit more solid. But also, is it enough where possibly they could waive an appraisal? Will they come in with a difference in the price versus, you know, making the seller reduce their price if the appraisal isn't done? And we already talked about the challenges right now we're seeing with the appraisals, because the homes that are going into escrow at these higher prices haven't closed yet. So they're not able to use those as comps. So that's something that we have to overcome. You know, just kind of going through, how about, Mr. Buyer, do you mind if the seller stays in the property until they find their next home? Because there's a lot of sellers out there right now have nowhere to go, right? They just don't have anywhere to go. And so they're a little nervous about putting their home on the market, or they're a little nervous about accepting an offer because they're thinking, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? So having that conversation with the buyer to understand, the two things happen. One, you're able to have that really deep communication with your client, so you're both on the same page moving forward. But number two, the buyer's eyes are opened a little bit as to, we really need to think about what we're asking the seller to pay for, right? We need to think about what we're doing to get our offer accepted. So if you've got your real estate templates done, and we're going to have another template class starting next week. It's on the calendar. But if you have your templates done, I don't want you to just pull it up, put the price in and say, okay, let's go. You really, this is a kind of market that you have to look at it. You have to read it. You have to understand what you're asking the seller to do and what you're asking the buyer to do. So knowing that purchase agreement is critical. Going through each paragraph and section with that buyer saying, hey, how important is this to you, right? Mr. Buyer, we're, you know, do you want a termite inspection? Are you willing to pay that price, or do you want me to ask the seller? Yes, historically the seller pays for it. But again, it's usually about the bottom line for the seller. So if you are offering full price or over full price, but then what we're doing is we're asking the seller to pay closing costs, you know, NHC, termite, HOA, all these other things, that bottom dollar might be less than somebody who's not offering as much, but they're asking for less. Does that make sense? So it's important you really have these conversations, explain what it means to the buyer, explain where we are in the market right now and how best to move forward. So what other ways, and I'm opening this up to you on the buyer side, what ideas do you have that will help get offers accepted?
Greer. Offer to pay closing costs, waive the appraisal, you know, to participate. Like, we lost some of these offers because my buyer couldn't go as high.
Sure.
But, you know, we were offering, say, pay $3,000 of the seller's closing costs, and it got our offer attention, and the seller's agent really wanted to work with us because, you know, personalities match, blah, blah, blah. But when the numbers got so ridiculously high, then I was really lucky to finally find my buyer a home, and we actually did just kind of more of a traditional offer. And the listing agent just actually wanted to put it to bed, even though it was a brand new listing. He actually called me and he said, have you sent your offer over yet? There's someone looking at the house and I want yours to come in first. So we really lucked out on that. Didn't outfit, but offering to pay some of the seller's closing costs really caught their attention.
Great idea. Great idea.
Can the buyer pay for like the NHB?
The buyer can. That's why there's two boxes on there, seller or buyer. The only thing the buyer cannot pay for are the HOA docs that are statutorily required by law. There's no box there that says buyer or seller. It just says seller will pay. And so that's a statutory thing. The seller needs to provide that. That's it.
Oh, I offered to pay the termite on this one. I mean, which is like $100. It's no big deal, but it helps.
Every bit helps. Home warranty. You know, we're so in tune that we're just gonna ask the seller to pay for it. And that's fine. But just know if it's really close, that might make a difference, right? I'm not saying the buyer has to or you have to. I'm just saying think about it. Think about, have that conversation.
So in that case, would the buyer waive a home warranty and then just buy it afterwards, or would they just we would check that the buyer to pay for?
I would recommend that somebody pay for it. So if the buyer's willing to pay for it, it's best because it's Murphy's Law. Escrow will close. A month later, the AC will go down or the dishwasher will break. And who are they going to call?
Oh, sure.
So, and thank you for bringing that up because I know a lot of agents like to do that as a gift for their client. And this is something I just recommend and I want you to think about before you do. If you're going to give $500 toward a home warranty, please mark it as $500 to buyer's costs that they can use for whatever they want, like a home warranty, right? Otherwise, you have bought that home warranty, and now when that home warranty company says, oh no, we're not covering that, now that buyer's angry with you because you gave them a home warranty that doesn't work. So we give them $500 toward their cost that they could use to whatever they want to use it for. If you want to put it toward home warranty, that's fine. But the buyer's selecting their home warranty and they're going to actually pay for it. Does that make sense? I know it sounds like semantics, but in the world of legal and lawsuits, and I have to tell you, people are out of their minds right now. I have never talked to our company attorney more than I have in the last week. And it's just a sign of the times. It's a sign of the times. Okay, so offer to pay seller closing costs, pay for some of that stuff. What else?
Shorten the period.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially. Sometimes the sellers say, sure, I'll take it if we can close in 15 days. Have that conversation with the buyer. How do you feel about short escrows, long escrows? Because on the flip side, we may have a seller that says, I need to be here until July. Okay, buyer, how are you on that? Right? This is all, remember, I mean, so many times we're thinking, God, can we do that? And the answer is everything is negotiable. Everything is negotiable between the buyer and the seller. We just need to have those conversations.
And so if my buyer wanted to do that, say, hey, we'll give you 3 months to find your own, how would you write that into an offer?
Good question. So if you didn't hear him, could you hear DeVern? You heard him? Okay, good. So how to write that if the seller needs 3 months. Personally, I would close in 30 and lease back to the seller at maybe $1, right?
Oh.
I wouldn't charge.
I'd really make it.
I'd make it desirable. Absolutely.
A lot of money for that.
They're paying full price, right? Whatever. You know, some sellers are going to say, well, no, I want $4,000 a month. Well, again, everything's negotiable. If your buyer really wants that house and there's 5 other buyers that really want that house, how is he going to stand out? So I don't know who that is, so I'm just going to close out. Okay. Yeah, so I never like long escrows because too much can happen.
Yeah.
People can get sick, people can die. I mean, there's things that can happen.
More time to fall on us.
It's more time for issues. So get that escrow closed as soon as you can and then do the lease back. And that's a much better solution.
What's the name of that lease back document again?
Good question. If it's less than 30 days, if the seller says, I need 2 weeks, I need 3 weeks, anything less than 30 days, the form you attach to your purchase agreement is the SIP, and it stands for seller in possession. Okay? If it's over 30 days, you'll use the RLAS, and that stands for the residential lease after sale. And it outlines things like insurance, who's maintaining the insurance, who's maintaining the utilities. Because, I mean, my goodness, God forbid, escrow closed, the seller's now in possession of that property, right, staying there leasing it back, and a fire breaks out in the kitchen, right? Who's liable for that? So all of that has to be outlined. Please, even if they're only staying 24 hours, please make sure that SIP is done, because otherwise it could be a terrible lawsuit against you. All right. So good questions. I'm glad you brought that up. What else? Eileen, you can unmute yourself. There you go. And congratulations.
And good morning.
Good
In
morning.
my case, one of the buyers put together an escalation clause, which helped the seller because then we knew that, you know, if any other offer came in, this escalation clause would supersede any other offer. So that helped.
Wonderful. That's a great idea. Did you put a max for your buyer, or did the buyer put a max, or did they just say, I'm paying $1,000 more than any other offer?
No, I represented the seller, but the buyer did have a max.
Oh, good. Okay. And there's pros and cons to that. And CAR does a great quick guide to escalation clauses. It talks about how to do those and what it all means. I included it in my recording that's on YouTube that you're welcome to go back and look if you missed it. But it's a great idea. The only challenge you have is if everybody has an escalation clause. And then you have to call out for the highest and best dollar amount, and then let the cards, fall where they lie. But thank you, I appreciate that. Anybody else? What have you done to get your offer accepted?
In multiple offers, what offers do you see winning? If there's 5 offers, is it 100% cash that's always winning now? Or, 50%?
And that's a good question. It's across the board, but cash is always king.
Right.
The reason cash is prevailing right now is due to the appraisal, right? If there's no loan contingency and no appraisal contingency, all they have to worry about is getting through the inspection. And once the inspections and disclosures are done, you're really ready to close.
Right.
So that is the most stress-free type of escrow. Not always, because I've seen crazy things happen with those, but in today's market, that's the ideal scenario. Because even if they come in, let's say they're coming in with 50% down and only financing 50%, they're waiving their appraisal contingency, there's still a loan contingency they can get out on, right?
Right.
So if the appraisal doesn't come in, they can always just back out for the loan. So, there's other things. So cash right now is king. But if you've got a buyer that has to get a loan, just make sure you're walking them through all the other stages, and trying to put out as many hurdles as you possibly can. Yeah.
So here, as an example, how could we have made this offer? We missed out on a house, on a list, and we offered cash, but of course, our condo here hasn't closed yet, so cash upon successful close. That would have the contingency period, and they knew that. We did an escalation clause up to $25,000 for cash. They went with a lesser price offer we had a home builder with us, so we waived inspection, contingency, we had no loan contingency. I mean, we were gonna pay to have that property turned back into homestead because it's been a rental property. So in Minnesota, it's a little different, I guess. We still didn't get the house. And the offer they took has an inspection contingency on the offer, and it's less money. What could we have done?
You never know what's in the mind of a seller. I mean, that's the whole thing. For whatever reason, you know, the sellers made their choice. I don't know what the bottom line was for the other offer. You know, maybe they threw in some incentives that you don't know about.
Could be.
And
Those are hard to get right now.
yeah. Exactly, a weekend at Disneyland. You never know what they're throwing in there. First Caribbean cruise that hit sail, you got it, seller. It's funny what people are actually doing, but,
And what they did say was they had better terms on the other offer because ours was, you know, contingent.
it's probably that contingency freaks them out.
So.
Any,
Yes, they still have, they took an inspection. So I mean, it's.
well, the inspection, if they felt pretty confident that their home is in good shape, the inspection contingency is not gonna worry them. But a home that they have no control of on the West Coast that hasn't closed yet, that's a concern to a lot of sellers. So in a case like that, maybe I would have reached out to Apex and say, can you buy my home so I can just pay cash with this house? And then sell this afterwards. That's where that comes in so handy. So let's utilize those things too to help us get, you know, these offers as clean as possible. But in my experience, having a COP, even if that's a really strong buyer, people freak out about that.
So and that still is a COP at that point.
Yeah, until you remove that contingency, it's still a COP. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any other questions or anybody else wants to input there?
Are they discouraging any type of personal letters along with your offers?
Well, oh my gosh, personal letters, I mean, they work. But they're kind of frowned on because of fair housing, right? And it was interesting, I was on one of the real estate sites, I don't remember which one, with the, you know, all the comments with all the agents. And one of the agents actually posted the letter that she had prepared on behalf of her buyer, and it was very generic. It was well written, but you had no idea who this buyer was. She just explained that this potential buyer, she didn't even say he or she, it was just my buyer, this is what my buyer's looking for. This is what my buyer, you know, loves the neighborhood, wants to be a part, but it was completely generic, right? So as not to offend any fair housing issues. The comments that came in behind that even drove in the fact of, well, since your letter was so well written, some agents who may be in more disadvantaged areas would not be able to do that, so they don't have that same advantage that you do. Who knows?
Some purgatory.
I'm not saying yes or no.
Like, I'm sorry, we might be a little bit more intelligent or educated because we're with the right brokerage,
But and here,
yeah.
and I totally can understand that. I totally get that.
There's something.
But what you have to remember though, is the society we live in today. And if that person who made that comment, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, it's very controversial. I mean, you can see how people's emotions will just explode on this, right?
Should we just not do letters anymore?
I actually had several agents that, you know, listing agents say, like, we won't take it.
Because
Wow.
it's well, it's
Because
potential.
my buyer's letter is like so beautiful, you almost want to leave. You know?
And possibly, but that's, I mean, if it hits the wrong person, that person is now gonna file a fair housing claim.
No more letters.
I mean, so, you know, you just have to weigh this stuff out.
Yeah.
You know, I understand why you're setting your clients apart, but you have to do it in such a way that you're not breaking fair housing, but then you've got the people who are still screaming it's not fair. So NAR suggests just make a strong offer, get it presented, and do your thing, or be prepared for potential consequences, right? So that's all I can say on that. That's all I have to say about that
Well,
one.
we'll give you some wine, Gina, we'll talk.
That was hard.
Sing like a bird, baby, sing like a bird.
I love it.
Okay, let's move really quickly. We've got a few minutes here. Onto the listing side. And we're all getting listings, and you're all doing a fantastic job, and I could not be more proud of you. If your listing presentation is not fired up and ready to go, do not go to bed tonight until it's done. It is that important. We are on the verge of getting listings and more listings and more listings. The only way you are going to be part of this tidal wave that's coming is if you put yourself in the water, right? You just have to be there. So how do I do that? Well, be ready. Practice your listing presentation. Get your materials together. If you're not sure what to do, come see me. I'll give you a sample. I'll show you what you need to put together. You need to be ready to go, and you need to know what to say. And one of the things that you have to overcome right now is sellers, in their minds, their home is $1 million plus, even if it's not. That's because the market is the way the market is. The sellers all believe that their home right now currently is worth $100,000 to $200,000 more than it really is. So we have to be very careful as we're going in, that we're not beating them with a hammer saying, well, you're an idiot, right? You can't do that. Not in person. No. We can't do that, but we have to explain what's going on in the market. We have to be knowledgeable about what's going on in the market. We have to take those comps, and we have to also allow that these other properties that are going to be closing, we need to see what's going on with those. We need to keep our eye, we need to keep our hand on the pulse. We need to go into the MLS every single day and look at the closings. If you go into your hot sheets, it'll have everything that's new on the market, everything that went active under contract, everything that went pending, and everything that closed. Please review those closed every day. Look at the list price to sale price. Get familiar with what is really going on out there so you can talk to your sellers. Now, one of the things, because it is so hard to price right now, right? Things are closing 20, 50, I've seen $100,000 over asking that things are closing at. So we need to be ready to talk about that. We need to be ready to say, well, here's what I see. Make sure you're pulling the property profile. Make sure if you're going into a listing presentation, you're getting a seller copy of the property profile. It's a beautiful bound copy. And it also has some things for sellers, getting your house ready to sell. But because it's got the section of comparables, that is stuff that's recorded with the county recorder's office, not just the MLS. So you've got your MLS comps, you've got the property profile, and you can say, this is what is actually closed. This is what is recorded. We've got some things out there that's pending, but here's where we are. So let's say your seller now wants to price it at $100,000 more. You have to use your instincts, and you have to be logical and think, are there any currently in escrow right now close to this, right? If the answer is yes, potentially they may get some offers. But again, you need to explain to them what happens if it's a finance that requires an appraisal. What's going to happen if the lender's not going to loan on it for whatever reason. So you need to be able to explain these things. You could potentially, it's so frustrating when they're presented by numbers and tax don't lie. I know, that is so true. Potentially, you could put the house on the market Because what I'm seeing, and all you guys jump in if you think that, if you're seeing something different. If a home is priced within reason, right? There are multiple offers, or at least one offer, within 24 to 48 hours. Would you agree?
Yes.
So if you take a listing and you price it high, and you have no activity in the first 3 days, what are you gonna do? So you might wanna have that conversation with the seller saying, look, comps right now are anywhere between 725 and 750. Well, I want at least 850 to 900 for my house. If you go and you do your homework and you see, well, you know, there's a couple in escrow right now there, or here's what's going on around it, is it in the realm of reality that this is going to happen, right? You could price it, but have the conversation with the seller saying, look, if there's no activity in 72 hours, we need to make an adjustment, because we know what we know in this market is if it's priced right, we will have activity in the first 72 hours. If we don't, we need to make an adjustment. Are you on board with that? Right? Have that conversation. Don't be intimidated. You're the expert. You're the influencer. You're the one that they're going to come to for all their questions. So just know your numbers and be good at that. Anybody want to kick in anything or any other ideas on listings? And it's okay for you guys who are on Zoom to talk.
So, you know, you have the graphic where it was showing the sale price to list price was 102%, or yeah, 102%. So like, you know, the listings I've had, they've all gone at list price.
Or higher.
No, everyone has been full ass offers.
Okay.
Um,
You're talking about in a certain development.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
that's where my listings have been.
Okay.
So, do I need to reevaluate what I'm thinking pricing is there, or? Because, you know, like the last, the offer came in and there was more people who wanted to place an offer, but the seller said, no, that's perfect, take it. So, it's 7 days later, it was closed. The one before that was the same thing. You know, the person came in, they're like, oh my God, this is great, we want to put an offer in, and the trust said, perfect, take it. So we didn't get any multiples, but I'm wondering if I've left money on the table for my seller.
That's your seller's call.
Okay.
If you gave them the comps and you said, here's where we think it is, and that offer falls in that, and the seller says, I'm happy, let's just do it. Don't overthink it, you just do it. But if you didn't provide everything, then that could be an issue.
Okay. So then 100% of ask on everything I listed.
It just means you did it right.
Okay, all right.
It just means you did it right. Sometimes, and you'll hear this too, if you get multiple offers, your seller's first comment is, well, I guess you didn't price it high enough. Or I want to take it off the market. I don't want to accept it. I've had this. This actually has happened. Agent listed the property, had 3 or 4 offers come in the first 24 hours. Seller said, no, I don't want to take any of them. I'm going to price it higher. Let's raise the price $100,000. And you're thinking, are you kidding me? Right? It's one of those things that we got to be prepared if this happens. And how do we fix that? In an expectation conversation at the listing appointment. Hey, Mr. Seller, it's very possible we're going to have 3 offers in the next 24 to 48 hours. If we do, that is because we've priced this right on, right? If otherwise, if we don't, that means we might be a little high. And of course, it could be up to the seller's motivation too. The seller may say, well, I don't care. I don't need to sell. It's just things are selling for a couple $100,000 more now. So I want to cash in on this. They don't care. So they're going to raise the price. But if it's somebody who does need to sell, then they're going to be more reasonable. And there's a lot of those sellers out there just because they think they can make, an extra few $100,000. They're just going to list their home because of it and then just find something else. And that's out there too right now. And again, I don't blame them. I certainly would want to make a few $100,000 if I could. But you have to know what your seller's motivation is and why they're selling and how the actual market is going. So you can advise them and then do whatever you think is the best thing to do. Okay? Okay, any questions? Were you able to hear anything? Yes? Hi, George.
How you doing, Gina? Yes, we can hear everything.
Okay,
Thank you.
do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, just the market's crazy. I saw that report. I went through that yesterday, and it's just unbelievable what's going on out there. And it's crazy, you know, when you talk to the typical consumer, we think that they know what we know. And the fact of the matter is that they don't. I mean, out of 8 out of 10 people that I'm talking to, they're waiting for the crash or, you know, to buy. Just they come out of stuff from left field that just kind of astounds me. So I think the idea that you gave about having these reports handy, you know, it's in black and white. It's kind of tough to argue if
Yes.
you've got the statistics behind you.
And that's a great point. And you know, have your mobile office. I always had a mobile office in the trunk of my car with a banker's box and my little file folders. And I'd have, you know, different market pieces for different, you know, my different farm areas. And so when you're talking to somebody, it's really easy. If they want information about Indian Wells, I'm going to go grab my market staff here. Here, let me just give you some information. If you have any questions, give me a call. You know, let's get together. We'll talk about what this means for you. That way, you know, we like to talk a lot. We're realtors and we're people, and we like to be in that, you know, excitement. But the truth of the matter is, people believe what they read fact-wise. So if it's just us saying it, as honest and ethical and awesome as you all are, right? They want to see facts. And so it's nice to have that at your fingertips to be able to hand out. So it does work. It does work. Any other questions or inputs, or you're ready to go get that listing, right? You're going to be in line. Do you know how to explain why the market's not crashing?
I have a quick question.
Hi, Ellie.
Hi. I was just wondering, I haven't heard much about it lately. Is there any word on, like, if we go to the yellow tier or something like that, if we're going to be able to go and knock on doors and things like that as real estate agents?
Actually, I'm told if we keep moving in the direction we're moving in, by June 15th, everything's opening up.
Okay.
And so open houses will be opened up, door knocking will be opened up. I know there's a few agents out there right now that's actually door knocking.
Okay.
Are they supposed to? I don't know. I don't think so, but the only people who are going to turn them in probably are the realtors. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know. You got to be safe. You got to do the right thing. Make sure, because you're under the watch. You know, you're under the watch of everybody's eyes. So, you know, I always took the high road of anything I did. But right now, the number one way of marketing and advertising yourself is getting that farm uploaded to your CRM, getting them in the drip system, and assigning the neighborhood reports. Those neighborhood reports, you guys, I can't even tell you, agents come to me every single week saying, I got that listing because I had one agent, he forgot to check the box that just says residential on the report, so it brought in even all the leases. So his phone rang and somebody said, oh gosh, these numbers are all skewed because, you know, some of these prices are $12,000 and some of these are $700,000, right? And he realized it was a lease, but guess what? He opened the conversation with that person, said, no problem, let me send you a revised report, sent the revised report, and then knocked on his door, and he's, you know, getting the listing on that property. So it opens conversation. So, I mean, I got to tell you, just get those neighborhood reports out, the market reports. Those things are golden. They're absolutely golden. And just with that, of course, you'll want to add some of your own marketing and advertising, maybe be on AdWords. just be out there, be top of mind, because that is the agent who's going to get the listings, and they are coming. Okay, let me go back here for a second, see where we are. There we are. Here we go. And you have marketing's phone number. Please reach out to them if you don't have your marketing put together. I have in my office, it's a 1-year farming and marketing plan where it gives you ideas every single week of what to use. If you want one, come see me and I'll give one to you. It's the coolest thing, but it's everything. It's print, it's social media. It's got ideas for the entire year, and you can hang it right in front of you and say, what have I done this week? And it just keeps you on track. So come see me for that. All right, look at the VAC, this week's calendar. We've got AdWords covered, Videolicious, Becoming a SkySlope Pro, and Intro to Your CRM. Next Tuesday, I already told you we're going to do Market Watch. Next Thursday, I'm doing a templates class for listings, okay? So we're going to get your listing templates updated and ready to rock and roll. A week later on Thursday, we're going to do the RPA and buyer's template. And so we're going to work on that as well. Know that if you haven't seen it already, the whole purchase contract is being updated. It will be released December of this year. It's going to look different and it's even bigger. So I was reading through it and thought, holy cow, there's a whole grid on page 1 that just outlines most of the terms and conditions. So once we get used to it, it'll be good. It cleans up a few things. So, but you got to know it. So we're going to be covering that. I'm also going to do on the side just a purchase agreement class where we're reading the paragraphs and understanding what they mean. So when you're sitting with your buyer, you know what that means and how to explain it to that buyer as well. Let me see, I think I have a question here. There. Okay. Anybody got a coming soon listing or a listing that they want to share with people? Anybody have any plugs or wants?
Yeah, Lisa, Gina, I also attended that 2.5-hour RPA webinar yesterday.
Okay.
We're going to 16 pages on the new RPA.
Yes.
And I don't know if the grid is going to help or not, but it's going to be a different looking form, that's for sure.
Yes, it is different, guys.
Yeah.
But in our business, I'm glad, Ellen, that you went to that. Thank you. If you guys see the classes come up, I highly encourage you to just start getting a grip on it now. Because
Yeah, training starts in August, they said.
Yeah.
And there's some areas that they've with the feds on some of the items they can't remark on right now, but they said there may still be some other changes coming, but not too many. So
it's a whole different beast. It's a different beast. And so, but just remember, the person who understands the purchase agreement the best is in the best position of negotiating. So feel comfortable with it. No, this is our business. Let's get warm and fuzzy with it. And when it's just like this, when we first started our business, right? Of course, the purchase contract when I first started was much smaller than it is today. Keeps growing, kind of like the SBSA. I think that was only 6 pages when I started. And now it's like 14. But yeah, and look how overwhelmed we felt when we first read that purchase agreement, right? But after we do it a few times, it's like, oh yeah, I get it. This is easy. It's going to be the same. So don't let it intimidate you. It's just a matter of diving in, reading it, come to a couple workshops, and you'll be good to go. Okay. Thank you, Ellen. Any other plugs or wants?
yeah, George just asked me who did that webinar, and it was Cedar, George. And we will get a recording of it sometime after 5 o'clock this afternoon. So I would imagine Gina will also get it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a link if we attended it. I attended it, so we'll get a link.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you guys share that link with me when you get it?
Sure.
That would be great. That would be great.
Absolutely.
Okay, super. Appreciate it. Any other plugs or wants? Okay, then let's make it a profitable day. I am here if you need me for anything, and I thank you. Thank you for everything that you do. Let me know what I can do to help. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Have a great day.